Hey, this is Jeremy Dunham, Editor-in-Chief of IGN PS2, and today we're going to take a look at my favorite game of the show, Devil May Cry 3. Let's go. Got to weed through the millions of games here. Capcom's always a popular booth. Almost there. So, Devil May Cry 3. What this game is different this year is that it's, rather than the last game, which was kind of focused on being outdoors and a lot of shooting, this year it's really going back to basics where it's a lot more confined. But unlike the last game, it's a lot quicker. A lot quicker than the first game, too. But what really makes it stand out more than anything else is the fact that you can actually customize your Dante. So in the past where you had one type of Dante, who'd had one set skill of moves, you can actually set it up so that you can make whoever you want. So if you want to focus on defense, you can do that. If you want to focus on offense, you can do that too. There's 4 different classes. You're looking at Royal Guard, which is the defensive class I mentioned. And then you have the Sword Master, which lets you be pretty much a badass with anything that's a blade. Then you have the Gunslinger, which you can see here is my chosen class, where you can shoot anything that moves. And the combo system is a lot more diverse than it used to be also. You can string things together, and it's not in this build, but you can also take certain weapons and switch between them on the fly so that you can go from a sword to another type of blade and so forth. The game this time around is a lot more cinematic too. Not only does it have a brand new graphics engine that was built from the ground up, it has a much more gothic look than the previous 2, which is saying a lot because the previous 2 games were pretty scary and spooky. Also of note is the soundtrack. I love it. It's hardcore with a little bit of a gothic touch, kind of like Castlevania in a way, only a little bit harder edge. As you can see here, as I'm going through this level, I'm fighting all these different guys, and I'm kind of relying on my guns and my far-off abilities to take them out. But if I was using, say, the Trickster class, which is an ability that lets you kind of do a lot of jump moves and physical-based stuff, I could be running on walls and doing other such things. Of course, I can't do that with this build. But anyway, that's Devil May Cry 3. I love this game. It looks like it's going to be really good, and that's my game of the show for E3 2004.
When we released it at E3, the Japanese press, Famitsu mainly, got a hold of it, and all of a sudden it went from, they have a top, I think, 30 or 20, and it was all of a sudden up to 14. And they've only shown 16, okay. They've only shown it like once, and that's a pretty high jump from being out of the blue to being on the top 20, just like that. Concerning the style, more important than adding new styles, if they have more time, of course, that's something they plan to do. But more important than that, they want to get down the 4 that they've shown already, and they want to make it so that right now, he doesn't feel there's enough separation between them. Like, if they feel too similar, then there was no point in making the styles at all, really. So he has to make sure that each style, in combination with weapons, yields a new, super cool ability. And so that's what he wants them to focus on, to make sure that when you are playing the gunslinger style and you're using the guns and you really feel it, and it feels like something that feels like a game that would feel like if you're focusing on the guns. And when you're playing the swords, then you're going to have more cutting and close-up action, and that just totally feels like that style. And he said he notices in America, we of course focus on the guns, and then we focus on the swords, and then the defensive or the aerobatic styles seem to come later. And personally, those styles don't have as much zip as the fighting style, so in order to make them be able to compete with the sword and the gun style, they have to make them even cooler. And so that's another area they have to work on, focus on. So they want to make sure that those styles are definitely really cool and feel unique before they go on to adding new things. Being able to create cool animations while at the same time maintain gameplay, that's what making a game is all about. It's very important, especially with this game more than others. But I feel that they shouldn't have to focus on 100% balance. Balance should not be laid 100% equally over the different styles. There should be times where you're using a style and saying, man, using this style is making this level a pain in the butt. And other times you're saying, man, using this style just makes it look so cool right here. So I want them to focus on making each style fun and unique in its own right, versus trying to balance the game perfectly across the board for all styles. Basically, if you're going to think of it in Street Fighter terms, Street Fighter is a game that's got balance, and yet it doesn't. And by that I mean you can take any character in the game, and of course there's going to be some that seem stronger against others, and others that seem weaker against others. There's still that area. But if you were to focus on one character and play them over and over and over again, you would get better and stronger. And you would see maybe a difference in balance versus somebody who hasn't played with somebody who has. But then after that person who hasn't played plays, and then they're playing each other on the same level, even if they're using different characters, thanks to that game's balance, all of a sudden they're back on the same equal playing field. If we try to focus on making Devil May Cry with that balance being everything, I think you're not going to be able to focus as much on the cool, on what's important about the game. It shouldn't just be about balance. Basically, with the game, what you're looking at is some of the enemies are so tough that it's going to be near impossible, or dare I say impossible, to try and beat them by yourself. So yes, it has been created on the base of teamwork. The way I envisioned it is not just one person lonely strolling through the grassy fields, but instead 4 friends getting together and we're going to go kick that boss's butt. Sort of that kind of feeling when they get into the game. That's what we are aiming after. So yes, there are a lot of enemies in there that are specifically set up to be so hard that maybe if you are a master, then you could do it by yourself, but in general, you're going to need help.
Still a soul for a second chance.